Hello, welcome to the Mythology Manifest. For today's video, I am going to be explaining one of the most well-known myths within Greek mythology. If you ask almost anyone, even if they have very little knowledge of classics, they will most likely have heard of this myth. It is the story of Perseus and Medusa. I hope you enjoy it. So, this myth begins in the kingdom of Argos, whose king was called Acrisius. One day, Acrisius went to the oracle at Delphi to hear about his future, as many kings did back then. The oracle inhaled the sacred fumes that gave her prophetic powers from Apollo, and told Acrisius that one day his grandson would kill him, and that the mother of this grandson was his daughter Danai. Acrisius returned home to Argos very quickly after hearing this, and went straight to Danai to ask her if there was any chance that she could be pregnant already. She said that there wasn't, and for a moment, Acrisius was relieved. He then called in some of his soldiers and told them to put Danai in a room made of bronze. In some myths, this is a tower that had no windows and only one door, which only Acrisius had a key to. In some myths, the tower was too high for anybody to climb, which is where the idea for Rapunzel's tower comes from in the later fairy tale. Acrisius put her in this prison with limited access so that she could not meet any men and therefore could not ever fall pregnant. Unfortunately for Acrisius, fate was not something that could be beaten. Zeus, the king of the gods, had spotted Danai before she had been imprisoned and thought that she was incredibly beautiful. He decided that he wanted to cheat on his wife Hera once again and be with Danai, and he was infuriated when her father had trapped her. This wasn't enough to stop the king of the gods though. Zeus turned into a shower of gold and flew through the wall of the bronze prison. He told Danai that he was Zeus, while still in golden glitter form, and then somehow she became pregnant. Don't ask me how it worked with a shower of gold because I don't know, and I don't think anybody does, especially not the ancient Greeks, they just went with it. Anyway, Danai was terrified when she fell pregnant, but knew that she had 9 months before having to really worry about it, as no one ever looked in on her. They just slid open a part of the door to give her food and water now and again. Eventually, she gave birth to a boy, whose name was Perseus, meaning to destroy. One day, one of the guards slid open the flap to hear a baby crying. They went to tell the king immediately. Acrisius stormed into the prison and was horrified to see Danai holding a baby. He demanded she tell him who the father of her child was, but he would not believe her when she said it was the king of the gods, Zeus. The king wanted to kill both Danai and Perseus, but knew it was a heinous crime to kill someone of your own family, and so he decided he would leave their fate to the gods. He put them in a wooden box and then put that box in the ocean. The box sailed across the sea, protected by Poseidon at Zeus's request for days, until they eventually got pulled ashore by the fisherman Dictys on the island of Seriphos, where Dictys had once been king, before being overthrown by his twin brother Polydectes. Danai told Dictys what had happened to her and Perseus, and who her son's father was. Dictys felt sorry for the outcast princess of Argos, and took her in, and eventually the two of them got married, and Dictys raised Perseus as if he were his own. But they never hid Perseus's parentage from him. He always knew that he was a child of Zeus. When Perseus was around 18, Dictys died, and his brother, Polydectes, welcomed Perseus and Danai into the palace, mainly because he wanted Danai to be his wife. He always wanted whatever had or did belong to Dictys, but he could never manage to get close to Danai because of Perseus. To get rid of Perseus, Polydectes knew he must have him killed, so he devised a plan. The king of Seriphos pretended to be marrying another woman and demanded that everyone in the kingdom give him an expensive engagement gift. He did this because he knew Perseus was poor and filled with pride, and here is where Perseus made his major hamartia, which is a fatal mistake, not a fatal flaw. Perseus promised he would get Polydectes anything that he asked for. Polydectes smiled and told Perseus that from him he wanted the head of Medusa. Perseus said he would get the head of Medusa for the king, and then he returned to his room in the palace where his mother was waiting for him. Perseus asked Danai who Medusa was, and so she told him the story that I discussed in my last video. If you haven't heard it, I will leave a link to it in the description below. Summed up, Danai told him that Medusa was a snake-head monster known as a Gorgon, who could kill and turn men into stone with just one look. Together, they prayed to Zeus for some form of help with his quest to find and kill Medusa, and instantly two gods appeared before them. One was the goddess of wisdom and battle strategy, Athena, who had been the one to create Medusa. I like to think that she helped Perseus with this because she believed that Medusa had suffered too much for too long and deserved to be allowed peace. The second god was Hermes, the god of tricksters and thieves, and travellers. The two gods said that they had been sent by Zeus, and they had gifts to help him find and kill Medusa. Hermes gave Perseus a pair of sandals with wings on them, which would help him fly across the ocean to Medusa's lair, as it was far away, although the gods did not know the exact location. Athena then gave him a shield with a mirrored back from her, and also two gifts from Zeus. The first was an adamantine sword, called a harp, and the second was a helm of darkness that would make Perseus invisible to anyone and anything, which was being borrowed from the god of the underworld, Hades. Athena then told Perseus that he had to go to see the Grey, who were three immortal witches, who were also the sisters of Medusa, as they knew where Perseus could find a final item to help him in his quest, and where he could find Medusa. With them being called the Grey, I like to think that that is where Shakespeare got his influence for the Grey Sisters, or the Weird Sisters, in Macbeth. Perseus thanked the gods and told them he would set off first thing in the morning. The next morning, Perseus bid Danai goodbye, strapped on his winged sandals, and began to fly across the sea. And that is where we will leave Perseus for today, as this is quite a lengthy myth. I will be doing part 2 for my next video, and I will release that alongside a mini-myth on Perseus and Medusa as well. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment or subscribe, or follow the Twitter, which I have left a link to in the description below. Thank you for helping me keep classics alive. It is a great help. I will see you next time on the Mythology Manifest.